Okay guys, took my HobbyKing 1/8 scale Berserker up on my workbench here. Just want to show a couple of things. I was glad I read something before I bought the truck. I was about to put the stickers on it, and then I remember one guy said there's actually a very thin layer of film, little protective film on the body. It's really hard to see. You know, I had to really try to peel something like a corner off. There is a layer of protective film on this, so make sure you remove that before you put your stickers on. I'm going to leave that on because I'm going to spray the inside with some truck bed liners. But just as a warning, just remember, peel up before you put stickers on. I gave this truck a quick run through, check all the screws. I didn't check the bottom yet, but I did everything up front, I believe. Just to run this over with you. I mean, there were yeah, a lot of these definitely need to be tightened a little bit, but none of them were super loose. But certainly go through every screw and tighten them down. I think the worst one I had was this guy here. This guy was pretty loose. It is bolt on to the aluminum chassis brace, so I put some Loctite on it. The servo, for some reason, they were loose too. The 4 screws here, make sure you tighten the servo down. These are okay. These are somewhat loose, not too bad. They do, from the factory, they did put on the motor mount here. They did put a Loctite. It looks fairly fresh too. So this was Loctite down, but I added more just in case. This one I couldn't even get it off, so this guy's good. So I'm not gonna force it. So I'm just gonna leave it in as for now. Yeah, these two need to be tightened. These two don't really hold on to anything. I think they're just sitting on the rail. Couldn't really figure out what that's for. And what else? Shock tower, definitely tightened them a little bit. They were slightly loose. The differential boxes, these were not too bad, but I was still able to turn them 1/8 or a quarter turn, so tighten them up a little bit. One interesting design that I've never seen is the pin that goes through the bottom of the shock is actually not a screw. It's just a pin, a push pin, and they have a little grub screw here to hold on to the pin. I've never seen that design before. That's kind of interesting. So tighten that grub screw down just a little bit, and now just for the main regarding the steering hub here. Now some people, probably a couple of people have had an issue this thing coming loose because they didn't tighten everything down before they run it. So this was actually giving me, was really testing my patience, because first of all I didn't realize there was a nut inside here, right underneath. So I just loosened the screw, and the nut fell off, and that took a while to get back in because there's no room here. So you really got to be very finesse, and really got to slowly get the nut back into the slot here. This is exactly the same size as a nut, so it's not going to turn in there. So you got to get it right, push it in. But the problem is the screw isn't long enough to catch it. So what I did was I stacked two nuts on top of each other and very slowly push them in, line them up with a hole, and then run the screw from the top, and then push the bottom one off. Now so that took a while, so just as a warning, that might take you maybe a few minutes to do. Now these nuts that I removed from the steering hub, the tie rod in the back, I didn't do the shocks. I think I'm just gonna leave them. I couldn't tell if they have nylon inserts in them. It did feel like they had some Loctite in there. It was a little bit wet. But I don't think these are nylon inserts in them, so I decided to remove them. I know I have a bunch of these laying around. M3 stainless steel lock nut with a 9-aught insert in there. So get a bunch of these, just replace them, because I don't think these will come loose. These will come loose pretty easily. Those I've used in many of my trucks, so they're very reliable. So make sure you get those all replaced. People have kind of broken some of the parts because the loose came out and then broke some parts. So they're one up top, one on the bottom. Bottom one is a lot easier to do. There's just enough room for one nut, so just slide it in, line it up, and then screw it. But the top one was a little bit take a little bit of time, and also replaced the nut here as well. The front, I think there's one screw here that goes in through the hinge pin there. I didn't bother putting Loctite. It screws in aluminum, but that's fine. It's a bumper, but that was a little bit loose, so I tightened it down. And again, I could replace the shocks with the stainless steel lock nuts as well, but I'm just gonna leave them. I'll probably be touching the shocks a lot anyway, so not too concerned with them coming too loose. I did tighten them down with a couple of turns, front and the back. Now, the back here, there is a pin here in the drive, in the center shaft drive hub here. Go over here. There's not. It is a pretty critical pin, but I wasn't, like I said, I didn't try too hard, but I wasn't able to loosen it with my wrist, so it's tight enough for me. I'm just gonna leave them as is. The front I can't really get to easily, so I'm just gonna leave it. But you should probably try to make sure that pin is locked down as well. In the back, these were some of those require a half a turn, but there's a whole bunch of screws here just to make sure they're all tight. And there's some up here I can't get to, so I'm just gonna leave them be. One interesting here I'm seeing here on the rear A arm, right next to the drive cup. Not sure why there's a grub screw here. There's a grub screw on both sides. I gave them 1 or 2 turns tightened down, but I don't know what it actually does. I don't know if it's supposed to be used to set your suspension, and I'm not sure. I'm not gonna. It's a basher here anyway, so I'm not too concerned about that. But there's a couple of grub screws here, just to point it out. Other than that, I thought I had a aluminum servo arm, but I think I used it on my other truck, so I might have to stick with this plastic one here. I think it'll be fine. Still gotta drop my own receiver in there. The antenna tube comes with the it's in the bag where the user manual is, and I'll probably start working on the wing mount that comes with the wheelie bar. I'm not really too into the buggy look, the wing, but this is a Truggy. If I remove the wing, it might look weird, but I'll take a look. I'll take this down first. I'm looking into potentially buying a T-bone racing a rear bumper for the Kraton. I believe they should fit. I'm not sure. I'm just looking into it. So if I remove the wing, have the rear bumper and the wheelie bar, it might look okay. Or I'll just keep the wing on. Yeah, anyway, so I'm gonna turn this around and check the bottom. There's a lot of screws at the bottom as well, so anything that's gonna touch aluminum, I'm gonna put some blue Loctite here, thread locker, to make sure nothing comes loose. Okay, just finished going through the bottom. It's actually all the important screws were all very tight. These for the differential ones, very tight. Couldn't even move them. Servo ones were tight. The ones on the center diff, very tight. Everything's tight. These 2 screws into the plastic for the ESC. So anything that screws into plastic, I was able to turn half a turn. So tighten them down a little bit. These are ones for the battery tray. Again, slightly tighten them a little bit more. This one was stripped. It was weird. Right underneath here is the servo housing and the receiver housing. This screw it looked weird. It looked like it was sitting at an angle. So I think from the factory they screwed it in at an angle and stripped the plastic. So I can't tighten this down, but it's not coming out, so I'm just gonna leave it. Other than that, not too bad. Again, the whole thing will take you 5-10 minutes, and it was definitely worth it. Go through and tighten everything down before you run it. And this aluminum looks really good, but it's all gonna get all scratched up. I'm looking into getting a front bumper and then a skid plate in the back. Once I get them installed, I'll get in a video of those. Okay, got my receiver mounted. If you read the instruction book that came with for the ESC, you have to calibrate it. It's very simple. Neutral, full throttle, full reverse. It took less than 30 seconds to do that. So I'm gonna start playing with try to install the wheelie bar, sway bar. Probably, yeah, might as well install it now, and maybe play with the programming box. But do want to give you a quick comparison between got the Arrma Nero 1/8 non-diff brain version and the Berserker next to each other. Pretty much exact. The Berserker has a few millimeters shorter wheelbase. Size-wise, is very comparable, as you can see. And yeah, I got this guy last year. I still haven't run this yet. Did a lot of prep work for it. I think the LED is the last thing I gotta finish up on this guy before I run it. But yeah, these guys are very similar in size. Very different design, of course. This is more. It's got this whole cage thing here, so it's fairly not that convenient to do anything, but it's fine. It's supposed to be very durable. Anyway,